The woman who followed the lantern. At the edge of a quiet town stood a forest most people avoided after sunset. Locals called it Old Briar Wood. By day it looked ordinary, tall pines, mossy stones, winding paths, but at night the wind moved through the trees like whispers, and travelers sometimes claimed they saw lights drifting between the trunks. Most people ignored the stories, except Elena. She had lived in the town all her life, working long days in the small library. Her world was full of books about distant places and old legends, yet she rarely explored beyond familiar streets. Still, whenever she looked toward the forest, she felt something unfinished there, like a story waiting to be read. One autumn evening, after a quiet day at work, Elena walked toward the woods. The sun had set and the sky was deep blue. The air smelled of damp leaves and wood smoke from the village chimneys. Just inside the trees, she noticed something strange. A small lantern glowing between the trunks. It floated low in the air, steady and warm. No one carried it, it simply drifted forward. Someone must have dropped it, Elena murmured. Yet the lantern moved with purpose. Without quite deciding to, she followed. The deeper she walked, the quieter the world became. The sounds of town faded until only her footsteps and a distant owl remained. At last the lantern stopped in a small clearing. There stood a large oak tree and an old wooden bench. The lantern hovered beside it. Elena sat down. A voice behind her said, "Most people turn back before they reach this place." She turned. An older man stood nearby with a walking stick. His coat was worn but neat, and the lantern's glow reflected in his eyes. "I didn't hear you," she said. "Few people listen in these woods," he replied, sitting beside her. They watched the lantern flicker. "Did you bring it?" Elena asked. He shook his head. "It appears when someone needs it." "For what?" "To slow down," he said. "To remember things they've forgotten." Elena smiled slightly. "That sounds like a fairy tale. Most fairy tales begin with someone being lost." The wind stirred the oak branches above them, scattering a few leaves. Elena noticed something unusual. Her mind had gone quiet. No thoughts about work. No worries about tomorrow. Only the sound of the forest breathing around them. After a moment the man stood. "The lantern won't stay long," he said. "Where does it go?" "Where it's needed next." He walked toward a narrow path between the trees, then paused. "You can come back," he said. "The forest welcomes visitors, just not those who hurry through it." Then he disappeared into the darkness. When Elena turned back, the lantern had begun drifting away. Its warm glow slipped deeper into the woods until it vanished. The clearing felt darker, but Elena wasn't afraid. She stayed a while longer, listening to the wind in the leaves. Eventually she walked back toward the town. When the first lights of the houses appeared through the trees, she realized something surprising. She had lived beside that forest her whole life, but that night was the first time she felt like she had found her way somewhere.